Welcome to Gene and Mike do the New York Times crossword.
Hi, I'm Jean.
And I'm Mike. And today we are doing the crossword for Friday, August 2nd, 2024. So, did you do the crossword?
I did.
That was a fairly monotone answer there.
Yes, it was.
There's no theme here.
Nope.
It just didn't resonate 46 across with you?
It was a great challenge for me.
Ah, I see.
I spent the first half hour working on this puzzle, and all I had to show for it was 5 down, which was 10-digit number, abbreviated, and that was tell. And the one right next to it, 6 down, adornment for a kimono, and that was obi.
Right.
I had 27 down, plant with bugs maybe. I knew that was spy.
Mm-hmm.
And I had, of course, 36 down, the infamous ray of American fiction, which is always Issa.
Issa Rae, yes.
And 37 across. 6 days of blank thou labor. Exodus, shout.
That's all you had?
That's all I had.
After half an hour?
Like half an hour.
No.
And I'm just like, I cannot do this puzzle. And so eventually then I got 31 across, 40 winks. I had the P. So I'm like, oh, I bet that's some kind of nap. So I put in nap. Then I thought, well, maybe it's cat nap, which it was. And from there, it took off. But it did take me an hour and 12 minutes to get it done. It was just like, oh, I just can't get this. And I was sort of comforted by the fact that I read wordplay, and the author had the same problem.
The author? Wait.
Of wordplay.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the author of the crossword couldn't get it.
No, the author of wordplay was saying that, for them it was also a real challenge, and they actually showed how they went about solving it. I don't think it took them half hour to only get like 4 or 5 right. But, and I would put things in and I'm like, no, that's not working. So I take it out and like 38 down, which was a great clue. And
oh, yes.
Dismissal informally. Heave ho.
Yep.
I thought of heave ho and I'm like, I put it in and I'm like, oh, it would never be heave ho. And so I took it out and eventually I put it back in. But, I was just guessing here and there and nothing seemed to be right. And, it was just a really hard puzzle for me. But I did persevere.
Yes.
And I did get it. But
there you go.
But, boy, it just, like, half an hour and I had like 5 things and a whole lot of guesses that weren't right.
Huh. I'm stunned.
Puzzle?
I'm stunned into silence. Well, after half an hour, I was almost done.
Oh my!
So it took me 34:25.
Wow.
And I'm trying to figure out what the difference is. Clearly, it's because I knew some of the answers that you didn't. When were you doing it? Though? What time were you doing it? Was it like really late?
I did do it, last night, but it wasn't because I was super tired.
Perhaps
it was just I didn't know any of the answers.
But you knew them later.
Eventually, if I got a letter here and there, then it worked. So, I mean, like once I got catnap, then 21 down, bracketed qualification, I thought, I bet that's sick.
Right.
And so I got that in. And so then I had a couple of letters for 26 across, which was they might be booked for getaways. No, that still took me a long time.
Yeah, I had trouble with that one. The answer was sitters.
Sitters, yeah.
Which is a great clue.
That was a great clue. I'll
tell you the one that stunned me the most. 23 across, flattest state in the U.S., Well, it had to be Nebraska, N-E-B, but they claim it was Florida, FLA.
Right. I put NDK for North Dakota. I thought that was a pretty flat state.
Well, wait. Where's Mount Rushmore? I guess that's South Dakota.
Right.
Okay.
But North Dakota, that's kind of, it's right below Manitoba, right?
Okay. Where is the National Bowling Hall of Fame? Wherever that is, that's got to be the flattest state, because they would go to that state and they would just say, we have found our Eden.
I suppose.
So wherever the national, I'm assuming that there is a National Bowling Hall of Fame.
I think there is. I think we've been there.
It's in Arlington, Texas. Well, that's that's an international bowling museum. Okay, the USBC, the International Bowling Museum and Hall of Fame. Why are its letters USBC?
Isn't it in like St. Louis or something?
They don't seem to have a national one. These seems to be international. The International Bowling Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. Where's the National Hall of Fame?
I thought there was a bowling Hall of Fame in St. Louis.
The International Bowling Museum and Hall of Fame was located at 11 Stadium Plaza, St. Louis, Missouri, and shared the same building with the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Fame Museum until 2008. It moved to Arlington and reopened in early 2010. And it merged with the International Bowling Media Association. And that's strange.
Yep, that is strange, but I remember going there many, many years ago.
So there's no National Bowling Hall of Fame. This is our chance. Finally we have a career. Okay, we're gonna need a Kickstarter campaign.
Wisconsin's pretty flat.
Wisconsin is flat? What part of Wisconsin have you been in that's okay? I mean, we've got the Bluffs, we've got the
Dells.
The Dells.
What's the Bluffs? The Wisconsin Bluffs?
I panicked. Sorry, I was thinking of the Dells.
I think you're thinking of
the Wisconsin Mesa. Remember the house on the rock? By the way, as we name all these things, hopefully our listeners are taking notes, so when they come to Wisconsin, they'll know where to go. You should definitely go to the Hall of Fame.
And don't go to the Bluffs, because there are none. So, anyway, back to the puzzle.
Yes, thank you.
One of my favorites, once I answered the puzzle and I felt a lot better about it, was 35 across. Server's question after a drink order: is Pepsi okay? I just thought that. It just struck me funny.
I had a lot of trouble with that. I also think that's the incorrect answer. The incorrect answer is, would you like a Diet Coke?
No. Is Pepsi okay? You've been asked that question several times when you've ordered a Coke.
I have.
Coke, and
well, the answer then is no.
Is Pepsi okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was very funny. No.
28 across. Gradual diminutions was erosions.
Yes.
That was a little tricky.
That was. Mm-hmm.
And we had beneath that 32 across, acted like a maverick, went rogue. That was a little easier.
I put that in and then took it out, but then put it back in. So
actually, in that area, I had trouble because one across carrier letters, I went for UPS.
No, I went for DHL.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Well, the answer was USS, that kind of carrier.
Wasn't even close.
Well, for a while, I had, to the answer to two down, it's in your face, I had pothier. And I'm like, what's a pothier? And then I realized it was so there. That would be in your face.
Yes. Well, and one down, take off as a cap. I was thinking of,
doff.
Like doffing your hat or whatever, but it was unscrew.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh my.
And then, let's see, what else did we have that was good here? We had four, actually, even four across. Stuff of substance was atoms.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And 8 down. Decides to leave. Stats.
Right.
Wow.
That was a very cryptic clue, but
it was.
But it was good. Mm-hmm. It was a really good Friday puzzle. I mean, it was a great challenge. And then when you look at it when you're done, it's just like, well, there's nothing really way out there in terms of answers. They're all the words are pretty much common words and phrases. So
Well, what helped me was that there was very little pop culture. I mean, we had like 61 across. Nathan Blank, physicist who collaborated with Einstein on a theory of wormholes, Rosen. I mean,
that's not pop culture.
that's just it. It's so old that doesn't. I mean, it's
history.
It requires and yes, and anything after 1950, I refuse to learn. But
we had the birthplace of John Steinbeck, or his hometown. 47 across was Salinas.
I had the A, and I thought it was going to be like lost something, but it was Salinas, as you say.
That's in Kansas, right? Salinas, Kansas, or is that in? I mean, I was associating him with California. Maybe there's a Salinas, California too.
I don't know. 37 down, lead into ops. I was thinking, okay, black ops.
Right, yes.
But it was sys ops.
Sys ops, yeah. That.
Which is a thing.
Mm-hmm, it is. It is.
9 down, testament to human nature. I'm not a robot.
Oh, yeah, that was another funny one.
Yeah. I don't know. That one just sort of like, okay, fine.
I'm not a robot.
I did get 11 down, add to. I just wrote down augment.
Oh.
And actually the next one, 12 down, look upon with disdain, sneer at. I got those two, like I just wrote down the answers and they were right. And that helped in that corner. Let's see.
41 down was kind of funny too. Long break between classes. Gap year.
Yup.
That's a very long break.
Yes.
So.
The language group of Southeast Asia, I had Lao, Lao.
Me too.
But it was Thai, Tai.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what else? The 37, the one that you got immediately, boy, that caused me no end of grief. 37 across, 6 days blank thou labor, Exodus. Mm-hmm. I thought it was going to be didst, D-I-D-S-T, didst thou.
Didst thou labor?
Didst.
No.
Why does it say shalt? Oh, because it's ordering. It's ordering someone.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of it's kind of an explanation of the 10 Commandments. Remember the Sabbath day. 6 days thou shalt thou labor, and then on the 7th thou shalt rest.
So this was before unions, because they have to work 6 days a week.
That's right.
That seems to be a little harsh.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should have gone for 5. 13 down was card letters, STL.
Yes.
That was sneaky.
That was very sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
St. Louis.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And even 7 down. Like some fridges and donuts. Mini,
right.
I appreciated that one.
I was trying to do ice and iced or something. Iced, like donuts are iced. That refrigerators have ice, but I guess they're not iced. But that's what I was going for. Mm-hmm. It was not working at all. Well,
the very last answer, 63 across, something made for a dinner for short. And the answer was res, as in reservation.
That's right.
I wonder what Rex Parker thought of that. Whether he'd object to that as crosswordese. Although I think the clue is brilliant.
It is.
Something made for dinner. Made for a dinner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The fact that they slipped in that indefinite article there sort of helps, because if it said something made for dinner, well, that wouldn't make any. Right. That wouldn't be a good clue. But something made for a dinner, that A just sort of tips you off. Something strange is going on here.
Mm-hmm. 55 across was kind of fun too. Preference for long-legged types, maybe aisle seat.
Yep. Yes, indeed. So this was a fine effort by Kate Chin Park.
Nice job.
Yep. And so I don't know what this says about Saturday's crossword.
I'm just almost reading it, but I'm going to do it anyway.
It'll probably be like all pop culture references, and you'll breeze through it in 20 minutes.
I doubt
that is my prediction. We'll see if that comes true. But one last thing before we go. It is Friday, which means it's time for Fun Fact Friday. And on Thursday's crossword, we had 24 across. viable investment plans, and
You had to rip the ab out.
you had to rip the ab out, which got you to vile investment plans, and the answer was Ponzi schemes.
That's right.
So we were wondering, who was Ponzi? And so this is from Wikipedia. A Ponzi scheme is a form of fraud that lures investors and pays profits to earlier investors with funds from more recent investors. Named after Italian businessman Charles Ponzi, this type of scheme misleads investors by either falsely suggesting that profits are derived from legitimate business activities, whereas the business activities are non-existent, or by exaggerating the extent and profitability of the legitimate business activities, leveraging new investments to fabricate or supplement these profits. A Ponzi scheme can maintain the illusion of a sustainable business as long as investors continue to contribute new funds, and as long as most of the investors do not demand full repayment or lose faith in the non-existent assets they are purported to own. And let's see. Some of the first recorded incidents to meet the modern definition of the Ponzi scheme were carried out from 1869 to 1872 by Adele Spitzetter in Germany and by Sarah Howe in the United States in the 1880s through the Ladies' Deposit. Howe offered a solely female clientele an 8% monthly interest rate and then stole the money that the women had invested. She was eventually discovered and served 3 years in prison. Let that be a lesson to you. Mm-hmm. The Ponzi scheme was also previously described in novels. Charles Dickens' 1844 novel Martin Chuzzlewit and his 1857 novel Little Dorrit both feature such a scheme. Huh. And I think we should pause here briefly to admire the great name that is Martin Chuzzlewit. Let's see. In the 1920s, Charles Ponzi carried out this scheme and became well known throughout the United States because of the huge amount of money that he took in. His original scheme was based on the legitimate arbitrage of international reply coupons for postage stamps. I do not know what that is, but
me either.
Clearly something important. But he soon began diverting new investors' money to make payments to earlier investors and to himself. Unlike earlier similar schemes, Ponzi's gained considerable press coverage both within the United States and internationally, both while it was being perpetrated and after it collapsed. This notoriety eventually led to this type of scheme being named after him.
It doesn't say whether he got caught and was punished.
Well, no, I think they're concentrating more on the scheme itself. And we'll just wrap up with a couple of sort of consumer tips here. Red flags. According to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, many Ponzi schemes share characteristics that should be red flags for investors. High investment returns with little or no risk. Overly consistent returns, unregistered investments, unlicensed sellers, secretive or complex strategies, issues with paperwork, difficulty receiving payments. Mm-hmm. And we'll provide a link to the entire article in the show notes. So if someone comes to you and says, you're just going to earn money hand over fist, no risk.
Deal for you.
Yeah. It's just like either if they're calling, hang up on them. If they're texting, delete. If they're emailing, put it in spam.
That's right.
It's not going to happen, unfortunately. So, all right. I think that's it. We'll hate to leave in a downer, which is a Ponzi scheme when you get down to it.
Well,
but
the good news is I do believe Saturday's puzzle is out.
Gasp. Well, we're going to get to it eventually, and we hope you will too. And we'll hope you'll join us again when we talk about that crossword tomorrow.
Bye-bye.